Hey there gardeners, Chris from Garden Setting here today, and I thought I'd take a look at this pretty cool little product from Birdies. This is their cheapest garden bed as far as I know, 35 bucks, and to be fair, it is only a very, very small garden bed. A round, squarish, 700mm garden bed. They do call it a tree surround as well, and it's only 210mm tall, so a little bit less than a foot, I think, for those of you in Imperial land. And it's really just good as a single plant surround or for a little herb garden or for a little collection of plants. I really like it. I've got a couple in use that I'll give you an example of, but I just thought I'd take you through what you get in the box, what it costs you. I'm not sure if this is available everywhere. Obviously, you can buy these at Bunnings here in Australia. I don't think I've seen them on the Birdies website, but they are by far the cheapest option of what you can get from Birdies, and I think they have a little bit of a cool use, so have a look. That's the box, which should give you a good idea if you're looking to pick one up. I would be doing this out in the garden, but it's still raining. Okay, so if you're not familiar with what Birdies do, they're an Australian company, even though they are around the world, and they make basically high quality garden beds. They are on, I would say, the pricier side of things, but you get what you pay for. This kit is really, really simple. You're basically getting 4 of these pieces. I've got 2 in each hand, and they just bolt together with 3 bolts. You've got a protector for around the top edge so that when you're putting your hands down, it's not so much that the top edge is sharp, because they've got folded edges. It's basically these corners are sharp and where they're going to join are sharp as well. And so that protector basically means that you're not going to tear your hands apart or hurt yourself running your hands along the top of that garden bed or leaning against it when you're doing things with it. You've got all your bolts. You do have a little spanner here as well, so all you need is a screwdriver. However, I would greatly recommend you grab yourself a little power drill like this because it makes the job so quick. One of the things worth noting is I've used this mainly as kind of like a little garden bed, and they do also recommend it as a tree surround, but when you plant it that way, they do reckon you should countersink it into the ground a little bit. So I haven't really followed their advice on that, but most of my uses for it are for berries. So I've got some raspberries in it, I've got some blackberries in it, just single plants. I've got a little blueberry plant garden kind of thing where I've actually done some companion planting with it, and I found it quite a flexible solution. I don't want pots because pots dry out significantly easier. Pots here in Australia are fairly expensive as well, and you can pick one of these up for 35 bucks, which is, that's not that cheap, to be brutally honest. You can actually buy some kind of no-branded, very, very cheap and not the greatest quality garden beds, which are about 1.1 metre, I think, by 0.9 metres, which is, probably 3 foot by 3 foot kind of thing, and they're about 25 bucks. So it's important to note that these aren't the most value-driven of options as far as getting garden space, but I think they're a pretty cool product that if you're using them in the right way is going to be quite useful for your garden. Let's go have a look at the ones I've got in the garden that are already in and that are going, generally speaking, quite well. Okay, this is probably my absolute favourite. It is my little mini nectarine, which is going quite well. It's in the bed beside me here. I did not do a good job levelling it, but it's coming along nicely. That bed is kind of dug into the ground, and that's kind of the ideal use for a tree surround, probably for a very small tree. Here we've got a golden raspberry, which has been going crazy. The bugs have been getting at it a little bit. And then we've got regular raspberries here. I don't think I can really fit 2 into this garden bed, so I've got a spare just down here, and yeah, that has been going okay. No good fruit on it though. Here we've got a loganberry. As you can see, it's kind of countersunk into the hill, which works quite well. The blackberry is probably the big success story. And again, it's countersunk into the ground there, growing quite well, apart from the fact the critters really love munching on this one, and the wallabies. So that's a little frustrating. And then up in the corner here, I do apologise for the mess, is my little blueberry companion planted garden. And that's just an iris that's kind of leaning over the garden bed. But so we've got a big blueberry, we've got sage, I think. Then we've got some lemon thyme and pizza thyme in there as well, and an extra blueberry over on kind of this side. And yeah, essentially speaking, that is a cool little way of getting a couple of things in the bed, just like that. And just behind me here, you can see this one that's empty. I'm trying to figure out what vine I can put on this piece of fence behind me. The little irises, the native irises, I think they are, have frogs living in them. And so I want a vine which is going to provide them a bit of protection and do a good job for them. And so this next garden bed, this one in here, which hopefully the camera has decided to focus on, that's going to be countersunk in and it's going to hold some kind of vine. Originally, my first thought was I'd put a grapevine in, but because they're deciduous, I kind of want something that's going to be good all year round to provide the habitat for the frogs, because that is a bit of a concern. And I've got an overarching tree above me, so it needs to be something that doesn't need super sun. So yeah, but obviously this one is waiting to go in. The other one, I've got a couple more raspberries and things to go in. It's a really flexible garden bed that just gives you a nice way of kind of controlling, or what would you say? A nice way of containing a specific plant into just a specific area of the garden and making it a little bit easier to keep it under control. So let's put this garden bed together, because it's a really, really simple job. So there's no expertise at all required, and you'll be able to put one of these together in a couple of minutes. And once you've done that, you're ready to chuck it in the garden, off you go, fill it with soil, and really, I think it's a good solution for the right person. Obviously, different needs will vary. I'd normally do this on the grass so that I don't scratch anything up, but because it's raining and I don't really want to be, number one, standing out in the rain for extended periods, and I also don't really want to take the camera out in the rain, we're going to be doing it here as well, so I do apologise for that. You going to help out? Okay, this is real simple, really, really simple. You just line up the holes like so, and let's get you a close-up look. And then all we're going to do is chuck some bolts through. And so the bolt goes on the outside, and the nut, it goes on the inside. So you can see 3 bolts in place, and the 3 nuts as well. Not tightened up yet. up here, as you can hopefully see, there is the join, and that is quite sharp on that corner, and that is the danger, and that's why they give you the protector. So before we put that on, we're just going to tighten all of these bolts up. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be chucking your power drill in the outside like so, and on the inside you've got this cool little spanner, and we're just going to chuck that in place there. Get your drill in. Good to go. The one trick with this, I would say, is see how it's already pre-bent? You just want to follow that bend. It'll make it a little bit easier to put on. The challenge is where the two bits join. Just squeezing it on like that. There's a little bit extra. You can use scissors, but this is what I got on hand. You know, just line it up. Pretty good. And we're sorted. So as you can see, hopefully, this is kind of squared off on these sides here. So it's, you know, somewhat round, somewhat square. We've got that protective, like plastic skirt on the top. There is nothing on the bottom. So until you put this down on the ground, you do still need to be careful of that bottom edge and those joints because they will be sharp. But yeah, you've got your garden bed all ready to go here. Now the thing I really like about this is obviously if you've got a flat surface, you're just going to chuck it on the ground, maybe put some cardboard under it if you're trying to suppress some weeds. These aren't the tallest of beds, and as a result you're not going to have a heap of soil in them. So if you're looking at something which needs significant soil depth, or root depth I should say, hopefully the ground under the garden bed will provide what's needed past the garden bed itself. As far as filling one of these, in my garden I've found 2 bags generally does the trick, but they're not super full. However, that is keeping in mind that I normally count at sinking them into the slope that I'm on, which reduces the amount of soil. So I would say probably 2 or 3 bags of soil, probably 3, you'll be super safe. You'll be able to fill the bed up entirely, and you've got this great little solution. And I mean, this thing is perfect for a little herb garden bed. It's really good, I would say, for blackberry, raspberry, something like that, just to keep it a little bit contained, and you can hopefully keep an eye on it. The root systems on, say, I think the raspberry and the blackberry, from what I've read, they only go about 30 centimeters in. So if you're looking for something that's going to totally stop them from escaping, then you want one of the more expensive and deeper beds. But as just a simple surround, this is pretty cool.